My name is Melanie. I am 32 years old and I spent 8 years of my life saving a business that was never meant to be mine. I believed that sacrificing for family would be rewarded. I gave up my youth, my relationships, everything. Then my parents handed it all to my brother. "He'll make a better owner than you," they said. That moment changed everything. I quit and watched the company collapse. But I have no regrets. Before I tell you what happened, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. If you have ever given everything to people who did not appreciate it, hit that like button. And subscribe because this story ends very differently than you might expect. Growing up in a small town in Michigan, I always thought family meant everything. My family owned Harrison Furniture, a company my grandfather founded back in 1968. For over 50 years, our name meant quality craftsmanship and American-made furniture. The factory was a 20-minute drive from our house, and I can still remember the smell of fresh-cut oak and pine that would cling to my father's clothes when he came home each evening. My father, Gerald, took over the business from my grandfather about 30 years ago. He was a proud man, always talking about legacy and tradition. My mother, Patricia, handled the accounting side of things. She was quieter, always deferring to my father's decisions, but she kept the books balanced and the bills paid. Together, they raised 2 children. Me, the eldest, and my brother Derek, who came along 4 years after me. From the time I was a little girl, I was fascinated by the factory. While other kids spent their weekends at the mall or playing video games, I begged my father to take me to work with him. I loved watching the craftsmen transform raw lumber into beautiful dining tables, elegant bed frames, and sturdy bookshelves. There was something magical about seeing creation happen right before my eyes. My grandfather noticed my interest before anyone else did. I remember sitting on his lap in his office when I was about 10 years old. He looked at me with those wise, tired eyes and said, "Melanie, you have a sharp mind and a good eye. Someday you could run this place better than any of us." Those words planted a seed in my heart that would grow for the next 2 decades. When it came time for college, I chose business administration. I had offers from larger companies in Chicago and New York after graduation. The salaries were impressive, the opportunities endless, but I turned them all down. Harrison Furniture was in my blood, and I believed my future was there alongside my family, building something that would last for generations. I was 24 years old when I officially joined the company. What I walked into was nothing like the thriving business I remembered from my childhood. The factory that once hummed with activity now felt eerily quiet. Half the workstations sat empty. The parking lot that used to overflow with employee cars now had more empty spaces than occupied ones. The numbers told a devastating story. Revenue had dropped by 40% over the previous 3 years. Our loyal customer base was shrinking as people chose cheaper mass-produced furniture from big-box stores. The equipment was outdated, some machines dating back to the 1980s. Our production process was inefficient, costing us time and money we did not have. Worst of all, we were drowning in debt. The bank had called twice that month alone, and bankruptcy was no longer a distant threat but an approaching reality. My father refused to acknowledge how bad things had gotten. "We have been doing things this way for decades," he would say whenever I suggested changes. "This is just a rough patch. The market will turn around." But I could see the truth in the empty order books and the resignation letters piling up on his desk. My mother worried constantly but never challenged my father directly. "Your father knows best," she would tell me when I expressed my concerns. "He has been running this company since before you were born." I spent my first 3 months analyzing every aspect of the business. I reviewed financial statements, interviewed employees, studied our competition, and researched industry trends. What I discovered confirmed my worst fears. If we continued on our current path, Harrison Furniture would be bankrupt within 2 years. So I created a comprehensive plan to save the company. The strategy was bold but necessary. First, we would pivot from mass-market furniture to high-end custom pieces. The big retailers could beat us on price, but they could never match our craftsmanship. Second, we would build a strong online presence to reach customers beyond our local market. Third, we would modernize our equipment to increase efficiency and reduce waste. Fourth, we would restructure our workforce, keeping our most skilled artisans while cross-training others. I presented this plan to my parents on a Sunday evening. My father listened with crossed arms and a skeptical expression. "This is too risky," he said when I finished. "We cannot afford to gamble on some fancy internet marketing scheme." But then the bank called again the following Monday. This time they threatened to call in our loans if we did not show significant improvement within 6 months. Faced with no other options, my father finally agreed to let me try. "Fine," he said, his voice heavy with doubt. "Do what you think is best, but if this fails, do not blame anyone but yourself." I accepted those terms. I did not know then that I was signing up for 8 years of my life, or that the people I was trying to save would ultimately betray me in the worst possible way. The first 2 years were absolute hell. I am not exaggerating when I say that I worked 16-hour days, sometimes 18. I arrived at the factory before sunrise and left long after dark. I learned to operate every piece of equipment we had, from the industrial saws to the CNC machines we eventually purchased. I trained alongside our craftsmen, earning their respect through sweat and sawdust rather than my last name. Building our online presence from scratch was a monumental task. I taught myself web design, photography, and social media marketing. I spent countless nights photographing our furniture, writing product descriptions, and responding to customer inquiries. Every dollar of our tiny marketing budget was stretched to its absolute limit. There were moments when I thought we would not make it. The first year we barely broke even. Creditors called daily. Some longtime employees quit, unable to wait for the turnaround that might never come. I maxed out my personal credit cards to cover payroll during one particularly brutal month. My father never knew about that. But slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, things began to change. A design blogger discovered our website and wrote a glowing review of our handcrafted dining table. Orders trickled in from states we had never sold to before: California, Texas, New York. Customers were willing to pay premium prices for American-made customizable furniture that would last a lifetime. By the end of year 2, our revenue had increased by 20%. By year 3, we were profitable for the first time in nearly a decade. By year 4, we had paid off all our outstanding debts. The bank that had once threatened to shut us down now offered us a line of credit with favorable terms. Year 5 brought expansion. We hired 30 new employees, including several young craftsmen eager to learn traditional woodworking techniques. A prestigious interior design magazine featured Harrison Furniture in a 6-page spread praising our blend of classic craftsmanship and modern design sensibility. Orders poured in faster than we could fill them. By year 6, our annual revenue reached $5 million. We were receiving orders from Canada, Europe, even as far as Australia. The empty factory floor was now bustling with activity. The parking lot overflowed again, just like in my grandfather's time. Employees started calling me the boss, even though I had never been given an official leadership title. Year 7 brought even more growth. We expanded our product line, adding custom office furniture for high-end corporate clients. A tech startup in San Francisco ordered conference tables for their entire headquarters. A boutique hotel chain commissioned bedroom sets for 200 rooms. Harrison Furniture was not just surviving anymore. We were thriving. Through all of this, where was my brother Derek? Derek was 4 years younger than me, but somehow he had always been treated like the precious firstborn. My parents doted on him in ways they never did with me. When I brought home straight A's, I received a nod of approval. When Derek barely passed his classes, my parents hired tutors and made excuses. "He is just not academically inclined," my mother would say. "He will find his path." Derek took 6 years to finish a 4-year degree, changing his major 3 times before finally graduating with a degree in communications that he never used. After college, he announced that he was an entrepreneur. My parents funded his first venture, a sports bar downtown that closed after 8 months. Then came a smartphone app that nobody downloaded. Then a cryptocurrency scheme that lost $50,000 of my parents' money. Each failure was met with the same response from my parents: "Derek just needs time to find himself. Entrepreneurship is about taking risks. He will succeed eventually, you will see." Meanwhile, Derek lived in a luxury apartment that my father paid for. He drove a BMW that my father bought him. He spent his weekends at clubs and his weekdays sleeping until noon. Occasionally, he would stop by the factory, usually to ask my father for more money. He would sit in my father's office playing games on his phone, contributing nothing while I worked myself to exhaustion on the factory floor. Whenever I asked Derek to help, he had the same answer: "Office work is not really my thing, sis. I need space to be creative." My parents never pushed him. "Let him be," my father would say. "Boys are different from girls. He needs freedom to discover himself." By year 8, I was 32 years old. I had given the company the best years of my life. I had no serious relationships because I never had time to date. My friendships had withered from neglect. I had chronic back pain from years of physical labor and stress. My sacrifice was written on my body and etched into my soul. Yet I still held no official ownership stake in Harrison Furniture. My title remained operations manager, the same position I had been given on my first day. My salary, while decent, was nowhere near what someone with my responsibilities and achievements should earn. Every time I raised the topic of succession planning with my father, he deflected. "There is plenty of time for that, sweetheart. Let us not rush into anything, we will discuss it later. Later never came, and as I would soon discover, the plans being made behind my back were nothing like what I had earned. I found out by accident. It was a Tuesday afternoon in late September, and I had returned to the office early from a supplier meeting that had been cancelled. As I walked through the administrative building, I noticed an unfamiliar car in the parking lot. A silver Mercedes belonging to William Crawford, our family's attorney. My father's office door was slightly open and I could hear voices inside. I was about to knock and announce myself when I heard my mother say something that made me freeze. But what about Melanie? She has worked so hard. I pressed myself against the wall, my heart suddenly pounding. Through the crack in the door I could see my father, my mother, and the attorney sitting around the conference table, papers spread before them. Patricia, my father replied, his tone dismissive. I know Melanie has contributed, she is a good worker, but this is about legacy. Derek is our son, the Harrison name passes through him. William Crawford cleared his throat. So you want the trust structured to transfer 100% ownership to Derek upon your retirement? Yes, my father confirmed. Melanie will continue in her current role. She is excellent at operations. But the ownership, the final say, that belongs to the male heir. That is how it has always been in our family. My mother spoke again, her voice hesitant. Gerald, are you sure Derek has not shown much interest in the business? He will grow into it, my father replied. Responsibility changes people. Once he knows the company is his, he will step up. Trust me. I stood in that hallway, unable to move, unable to breathe. 8 years. 8 years of sacrifice, of sleepless nights, of putting the company before everything else in my life, and my reward was to be passed over for a brother who had never worked a single honest day at Harrison Furniture. That night I drove to my parents' house. I did not call ahead. I walked through the front door and found them in the living room watching television as if it were any ordinary evening. I heard your conversation with the attorney today, I said without preamble. My father's face flickered with surprise before settling into a defensive expression. You were eavesdropping. I came back early from a meeting. The door was open. I kept my voice steady despite the hurricane of emotions inside me. Is it true you are giving the company to Derek? My father stood up facing me. Melanie, this is a complicated family matter. It is not complicated at all, I shot back. I have spent 8 years saving this company. 8 years. Derek has done nothing. Literally nothing. My mother rose from the couch, her hands wringing together. Sweetheart, you have to understand. Derek is the son. Tradition says the business passes to the son. What tradition? I demanded. Grandfather told me I would be the one to run this company. He saw something in me. Why can you not see it too? My father's expression hardened. Your grandfather was sentimental. He said a lot of things. But the reality is businesses like ours are passed down through the male line. That is how it has always been done. That is ridiculous. This is not medieval Europe. This is Michigan in the 21st century. Watch your tone, my father warned. I am still your father, and I will make decisions about my company as I see fit. Your company. I could not believe what I was hearing. When you were ready to declare bankruptcy, where was Derek? When you needed someone to work 70-hour weeks to keep the lights on, where was he? He was spending your money on failed businesses and bottle service. My mother stepped forward, trying to play peacemaker. Melanie, we appreciate everything you have done. We truly do. You will always have a place at Harrison Furniture. Derek will need your help. My help? I laughed bitterly. You want me to keep doing all the work while Derek takes all the credit and all the ownership? My father sighed, as if I were a child throwing a tantrum. Derek will learn. Once he has responsibility, he will rise to the occasion, and you will be there to guide him. That is what family does. I stared at them both, these people who had raised me, whom I had loved and trusted my entire life. In that moment I saw them clearly for the first time. They would never see my worth the way they saw Derek's, not because of what either of us had done, but because of something neither of us could control. I left without another word, but the wound they had inflicted that night would only grow deeper in the months to come. 2 weeks after my confrontation with my parents, my father announced that Derek would be joining the company to learn the business. He called it a training period, a chance for Derek to prepare for his eventual leadership role. The real message was clear. Start getting used to your new boss. Derek arrived on his first day 2 hours late, strolling into the factory with a coffee cup in one hand and his phone in the other. Traffic was insane. He explained to no one in particular, even though he lived 15 minutes away. My father had given Derek a corner office larger than mine with a view of the employee parking lot. Derek filled it with a gaming console, a mini refrigerator stocked with energy drinks, and a leather couch that cost more than some of our workers earned in a month. His contributions to the company were worse than nothing. They were actively destructive. Within his first week, Derek decided that our suppliers were charging too much for lumber. Without consulting me or anyone else, he switched to a cheaper vendor he found online. The wood they delivered was inferior quality, prone to warping and splitting. We had to scrap an entire month's worth of production and scramble to fill orders with properly sourced materials. The cost of his savings was over $40,000. He interfered with our sales process constantly. Karen, our sales manager, who had been with the company for 12 years, came to me nearly in tears one afternoon. Derek called one of our biggest clients, she said. He told them we could offer a 30% discount if they doubled their order. We will lose money on that deal, Melanie, actual money. When I confronted Derek about it, he shrugged. You have to spend money to make money. Do not worry about it, sis. I know what I am doing. He did not know what he was doing. That was painfully obvious to everyone except our parents. Derek wanted to rebrand the company with a new logo and website, even though our current branding was strongly associated with quality and tradition. He suggested we outsource production to China to cut costs, completely missing the point that our American craftsmanship was our entire value proposition. He proposed we start a furniture rental service, a subscription box for home decor, and something involving NFTs that I still do not understand. The employees came to me constantly with complaints and concerns. Tony, our foreman, who had been with Harrison Furniture for 30 years, pulled me aside one morning. Miss Melanie, with all due respect, your brother is going to run this place into the ground. The men are talking about leaving. James, our accountant, showed me spreadsheets tracking the impact of Derek's decisions. In 3 months, his initiatives had cost the company over $200,000 in wasted resources, bad deals, and production errors. Every time I brought these issues to my father, he dismissed them. Derek is learning. He needs time to find his footing. Be patient. Patient, I responded during one particularly heated discussion. He is undoing years of work. The employees do not respect him. The clients are frustrated. How long am I supposed to stand by and watch this happen? My father's answer was always the same. You are his sister. It is your job to guide him, to help him succeed. That is what family does. But it was not Derek's guidance I was providing. It was damage control. I spent my days fixing his mistakes, apologizing to clients, and reassuring employees, and none of it mattered because Derek had already been chosen as the heir. Nothing he did would change that. Nothing I did would earn me equal standing. Then came the anniversary celebration. October marked the 55th year of Harrison Furniture's existence. My father decided to throw an elaborate party to commemorate the milestone. He rented a ballroom at the nicest hotel in town, invited employees, suppliers, clients, and local business leaders. He hired a catering company and a live band. No expense was spared. I handled all the logistics, of course: venue selection, guest list management, catering, coordination, decorations. My mother helped with some of the smaller details, but the heavy lifting fell to me, as it always did. I told myself that this event would finally be the moment when my parents recognized my contributions. Perhaps my father would announce a partnership, or at least acknowledge my role in saving the company. The night of the celebration, I wore the nicest dress I owned, a deep blue gown I'd bought years ago for an occasion that never came. I prepared a brief speech in my head just in case my father called me to the stage. I imagined standing beside him, finally receiving the recognition I had earned. The ballroom was beautiful. Crystal chandeliers cast warm light over round tables draped in white linen. A slideshow of historical photos played on screens around the room, showing my grandfather at the original factory, my father as a young manager, the evolution of our products over 5 decades. Notably absent from the slideshow were any photos of me or my contributions to the company's recent success. After dinner, my father took the microphone. He thanked everyone for coming, shared memories of his father and the company's early days. The audience listened, politely applauding at appropriate moments. Then his tone shifted. Tonight is not just about looking back, he said. It is about looking forward. It is about the next generation of Harrison leadership. My heart beat faster. This was it, finally. I am proud to announce that my son Derek Harrison will be taking over as CEO and sole owner of Harrison Furniture. Derek walked onto the stage grinning like he had won the lottery, which in a way he had. The audience applauded, though I noticed some of our longtime employees exchanging confused glances. My father embraced Derek, patting him on the back with fatherly pride. Derek represents the future of our company, my father continued. He brings fresh ideas, youthful energy, and a new perspective that will take Harrison Furniture to even greater heights. Fresh ideas. The man who wanted to sell NFTs of dining tables. Youthful energy. The man who showed up 2 hours late to work because he was hungover. A new perspective. The man who nearly bankrupted us in 3 months. I stood frozen in the crowd, my champagne glass trembling in my hand. My mother caught my eye from across the room and quickly looked away. She knew what this felt like, and she could not even face me. After the speeches ended, after the applause died down, I found my father near the bar. Derek was surrounded by well-wishers who were either genuinely congratulatory or expertly faking it. My mother stood nearby, watching Derek with an expression of maternal pride that made my stomach turn. "Can we talk?" I asked my father. We stepped into a quiet hallway outside the ballroom. The muffled sound of the party continued behind us, a celebration of everything I had built and everything that had been taken from me. "How could you do this?" I asked. "How could you announce this publicly without even telling me first?" My father's face showed no remorse. "Melanie, I told you weeks ago how things would be. This should not come as a surprise. You told me Derek would inherit the company. You did not tell me you would announce it at an event I organized surrounded by people who know exactly how much work I have put in." "This was the appropriate venue," he said calmly. "A celebration of the company's history and its future." "Its future?" I could not keep the bitterness from my voice. "Do you have any idea what Derek has cost us in just 3 months? He is going to destroy everything I built." My mother appeared beside my father, her expression pained. "Melanie, please, this is a party. Can we not do this here?" "When can we do it, Mom? When Derek runs the company into the ground, when all the employees quit, when we are bankrupt again." My father's jaw tightened. "That is enough. You are being dramatic. Derek will learn. And you will help him." Why is it always my job to help him while he takes everything I have earned? "Because that is what family does," my father repeated, as if it were some sacred truth that answered all questions and justified all injustices. Derek appeared in the hallway, still wearing that infuriating grin. "Everything okay here?" I turned to face him. "Congratulations, Derek. You really earned this." The sarcasm was lost on him. "Thanks, sis. I am excited about this new chapter. We are going to do great things." I looked at my father. "Do you honestly believe Derek will be a better leader than me?" My father met my eyes and I saw no hesitation, no doubt. "Honestly, yes, he will make a better owner than you." "You are excellent at the day-to-day operations, Melanie. I have never denied that. But ownership is different. It requires a certain presence, a certain authority. Derek has that. As a man, he will command respect from clients, from partners, from employees. That is simply the reality of business." The words hit me like a physical blow. 8 years of sacrifice reduced to gender. 8 years of achievement dismissed because of biology. 8 years of proving myself only to be told that none of it mattered because I was not born male. I looked at my mother, hoping to see some objection, some defense. She stared at the floor. I looked at Derek, who had the decency to appear slightly uncomfortable but said nothing. Then I looked at my father, the man I'd spent my entire adult life trying to impress, and I saw him clearly for the first time. Not as a father, but as a man who had decided my worth based on something I could never change. That night, I did not sleep. I sat in my small apartment, the apartment I could barely afford because I had poured everything into a company that was never going to be mine. I looked at photos from the past 8 years, me at the factory covered in sawdust. Me at trade shows shaking hands with clients. Me at my desk at midnight reviewing orders. Me at the groundbreaking for our factory expansion. 8 years of my life. When morning came, I'd made my decision. I showered, dressed in my work clothes one last time, and drove to the factory before anyone else arrived. I typed my resignation letter. 2 sentences. Effective immediately. I placed the letter on Derek's desk in that oversized office with the gaming console and the leather couch. Then I packed my personal belongings into a single cardboard box. The box was not very full. I had spent so much time at work that I never accumulated much in the way of personal items. Tony arrived early, as he always did. He saw me carrying the box and stopped in his tracks. "Miss Melanie, what is going on?" "I am leaving, Tony." His weathered face crumpled. "You cannot leave. This place will fall apart without you." "I know," I said simply, "but that is not my problem anymore." Karen found me in the parking lot. She was crying. "Melanie, please, do not do this. I have to." "But the company belongs to Derek now. Let him figure it out." James Ever, the accountant, handed me an envelope. "Your final paycheck." I calculated it myself to make sure you got every cent owed to you. I hugged them each in turn, these people who had worked beside me for nearly a decade. They had been more family to me than my actual family. Derek did not arrive at work that day until almost noon. By then I was long gone. I heard later that he found my resignation letter and laughed. She will be back, he reportedly said. She is just throwing a tantrum. Give her a week. I never went back. The first 3 months after I left were a strange mixture of relief and guilt. I had nothing to do for the first time in 8 years, no urgent emails to answer, no production problems to solve, no disasters to prevent. I slept late, took long walks, read books I had been meaning to read for years. I let myself breathe. But I could not completely disconnect from Harrison Furniture. Tony called me regularly, updating me on the increasingly chaotic situation. Derek fired James last week, Tony reported about a month after my departure, said he was not aligned with the new vision, hired his buddy Tyler to replace him. Tyler has never done accounting in his life. He switched lumber suppliers again, even cheaper than before. The quality is garbage, Melanie. We had to throw out 300 board feet yesterday because it was all warped. Derek is spending money like water, hired some social media influencer to post about our furniture, $50,000 for a few Instagram posts. We have not seen a single order come from it. Karen texted me updates too, though less frequently. She was job hunting, she admitted. The writing is on the wall, she wrote. I cannot watch this anymore. And 6 months after I left, the exodus began in earnest. Tony submitted his resignation after 30 years of service. I watched your grandfather build this company, he told Derek, according to what I heard later. I will not watch you destroy it. Karen left to join a competitor. James found work at an accounting firm. Within half a year, 15 of our most experienced employees had quit. They took with them decades of institutional knowledge, relationships with suppliers, and connections with clients. Derek replaced them with cheaper workers, mostly young people with no furniture industry experience. Production quality plummeted. Delivery times stretched from weeks to months. Complaints flooded in. I followed the company's decline through Google reviews and social media. Where we once had an almost perfect 5-star rating, negative reviews began accumulating like snow in winter. Ordered a custom table 8 weeks ago. Still waiting. Cannot reach anyone in customer service. The quality is nothing like it used to be. My nightstand arrived with visible defects. Harrison Furniture used to mean something, not anymore. 1 year after I left, the financial reality caught up with Derek's mismanagement. Tony, who still had friends inside the company, told me the numbers. Revenue had dropped by 60%. The company was bleeding money every month. The reserves I had carefully built during my tenure were nearly exhausted. Derek had made several spectacularly bad decisions during that year. He opened a showroom in downtown Detroit, signing a 5-year lease on prime real estate. The showroom closed after 6 months, unable to attract customers. He launched a budget furniture line using inferior materials, thinking he could compete with discount stores on price. Nobody wanted cheap furniture with the Harrison name, and nobody wanted expensive furniture that looked cheap. He partnered with a social media celebrity to design a signature collection. The celebrity posted twice about it and then ghosted when the check cleared. The furniture in that collection remains unsold to this day, I am told. My father came out of retirement to try to save the situation. He had planned to spend his golden years fishing and golfing, but instead found himself back in the factory trying to undo his son's damage. But Gerald Harrison was not the man he used to be. He was older, slower, and out of touch with the business after years of leaving operations to me. My mother called me about a year after I left. I almost did not answer, but something made me pick up. Melanie, she said, her voice thick with tears, please come back. No. The company needs you. Your father needs you. Derek is in over his head. Derek is exactly where you put him, Mom. Where you both put him. We made a mistake, I know that now. Your father knows it too. Please, Melanie, for the family. I thought about all the times I had sacrificed for the family. All the relationships I had neglected, the opportunities I had passed up the years of my youth, I would never get back. All for people who had looked at everything I accomplished and decided it was worth less than their son's potential. No, I said again. You chose Derek, now live with that choice. I hung up and did not answer when she called back. While Harrison Furniture was collapsing, I was rebuilding my life from the ground up. For the first few months after leaving, I focused on recovery. Physical recovery from years of exhaustion. Emotional recovery from the betrayal. I saw a therapist who helped me understand that I had spent my entire adult life seeking validation from people who were never going to give it. You kept thinking that if you just worked hard enough, sacrificed enough, achieved enough, they would finally see you, Dr. Winter said during one of our sessions. But their inability to see your worth was never about you, it was about them. Around month 3, I started thinking about what came next. I had skills, experience, and knowledge. What I needed was an opportunity to use them somewhere they would be valued. That opportunity came through Amanda Chen, a friend from my college business program. We had lost touch over the years, as happens with friendships when one person works 16-hour days. But she reached out after seeing a post I made on LinkedIn about being open to new opportunities. Amanda had started a company called Evergreen Interiors in Portland, Oregon. It was a design firm specializing in sustainable American-made furniture for eco-conscious consumers. The company was small but growing, and Amanda needed help scaling operations. I need a COO, she told me over a video call. Someone who understands manufacturing, who can build processes, who knows the furniture industry inside and out. I have been looking for months, and everyone I interview is missing something. Then I saw your post and I thought, why did I not think of Melanie first? I flew to Portland to meet her in person. We spent 3 days together, touring her facility, reviewing her business plan, discussing her vision. Evergreen Interiors was everything Harrison Furniture could have been if my family had truly embraced innovation instead of just tolerating it when they had no other choice. I want you as my partner, Amanda said on my last day there. Not just an employee, a real partner. 20% equity to start with, the opportunity to earn more. For the first time in my life, someone was offering me ownership based on what I could contribute, not despite it. I moved to Portland 2 weeks later. Starting over at 33 was terrifying, but also liberating. I had nothing to prove to anyone except myself. I had no family legacy weighing me down. I could build something that was truly mine. The work at Evergreen Interiors was familiar but different. I applied everything I had learned at Harrison, but without the constant battle against tradition and nepotism. Amanda listened to my ideas. She valued my input. When I suggested changes, she considered them on their merits rather than dismissing them because of who I was. Within a year, Evergreen Interiors had tripled in size. We opened a second location in Seattle. Our sustainable practices attracted media attention and a loyal customer base willing to pay premium prices for furniture that aligned with their values. I recruited Tony and Karen from the wreckage of Harrison Furniture. They relocated to Portland, grateful for the opportunity to work with quality materials and leadership that valued their experience. It feels like the old days, Tony told me after his first week, back when your grandfather was alive and Harrison actually meant something. By year 2, Evergreen Interiors was generating $12 million in annual revenue. Amanda increased my equity stake to 15%. We were featured in design magazines, sustainability publications, and even a segment on a national morning show. The company I helped build from near bankruptcy was recognized as a leader in eco-conscious furniture design. I'd proven conclusively that the problem had never been me. The call from my father came 2 years after I left Harrison Furniture. I was in my Portland apartment, the one with the view of the river that I had dreamed about during all those late nights in Michigan. I almost did not answer when I saw his number, but curiosity got the better of me. "Melanie," he said, his voice sounded old, tired, defeated. "I need to talk to you." "So, talk." "Harrison Furniture is filing for bankruptcy. The bank is going to seize everything, the factory, the equipment, the Harrison name, 55 years of family legacy gone." I waited for him to say more. He did. "I was wrong," he continued, the words clearly painful for him. "About Derek, about you, about everything. You tried to tell me and I would not listen." "No, you would not. I am asking you to come back. Please, you can have full ownership. Everything. I will sign it all over to you. Just please come back and save the company one more time." I looked out my window at the Portland skyline. I thought about the life I had built here, the respect I had earned, the equity I owned, the relationships I had cultivated. "Dad, it is too late. It is never too late. You saved us before, you can do it again." "I saved you before because I believed I was building something for my future. Now I know that was never true. You showed me exactly how much my 8 years of work meant to you. Less than Derek's gender. Less than your outdated traditions. I made a mistake. You made a choice, and now you have to live with the consequences of that choice. Melanie, please, I am your father. And I was your daughter, the one who gave everything for you, the one you overlooked, undervalued, and dismissed. I have built a new life, Dad, a better life, and I am not giving it up to save a company that should have been mine from the start." He was crying when I hung up. I felt a twinge of sadness but no regret. 1 month later, Derek showed up at my office in Portland. He looked nothing like the smug, entitled man who had accepted the CEO position 2 years earlier. He had lost weight. His clothes were rumpled. There were dark circles under his eyes. "I need your help," he said, standing in my doorway like a supplicant. "Hello to you too, Derek. I've lost everything, the apartment, the car, everything. Mom and Dad are selling their house to pay off debts. I have nothing left." "That sounds difficult." He came closer, his expression desperate. "You are my sister. We are family. You have to help me." I looked at him, this brother I'd spent my life cleaning up after, covering for, making excuses for. The brother who had taken everything I built and destroyed it in 2 years. "Do you remember what you said to me at the anniversary party when Dad announced you were taking over?" He shook his head. "You said, 'Do not worry, sis.' You said you would still need me around. I could keep doing the boring stuff while you handled the big picture." Derek winced. "You handled the big picture right into bankruptcy, Derek, and now you want me to save you, just like I always did." "Please, Melanie, I am begging you." "No. But family. Family is supposed to support each other, but our family only supported in one direction, from me to you, from me to Mom and Dad, never the other way. I am done being the one who gives while everyone else takes. What am I supposed to do? Get a job, work hard, learn what it means to earn something instead of having it handed to you. That is what I had to do when you and our parents took everything from me." Derek stood there for a long moment, maybe waiting for me to change my mind. I did not. "You are cold," he finally said. "No, I am free. For the first time in my life, I am finally free of the obligation to sacrifice myself for people who never appreciated it, and I am not going back to that prison, Derek. Not for you. Not for anyone." He left without another word. I have not seen him since. 3 years have passed since I walked away from Harrison Furniture. I am 35 now, and my life looks nothing like I imagined when I was a young woman dreaming of running my family's company. I am a co-founder and COO of Evergreen Interiors. Our company employs 70 people. We generate $12 million in annual revenue, and we are on track to double that within the next 3 years. My equity stake is now worth more than Harrison Furniture ever was at its peak. But the numbers are not what matter most to me. What matters is that I wake up every morning excited to go to work. I have colleagues who respect me, a partner who values my contributions, and employees who know that their hard work will be recognized and rewarded. I have built something that is truly mine, not inherited, not given, but earned through my own effort and vision. I met Marcus at an industry conference about a year ago. He is an architect who specializes in sustainable design. We talked for hours that first night about materials craftsmanship and the intersection of beauty and functionality. He asked me to dinner the next day, and we have been together ever since. For the first time in my life, I have room for love because I am no longer pouring all of myself into people who take without giving back. Tony and Karen are still with me at Evergreen. Tony jokes that he plans to retire here, the right way this time, with dignity. Karen has become our head of client relations, and she has never been happier. We have created something special together, a family of choice that supports and uplifts each other. As for Harrison Furniture, it no longer exists. The bankruptcy went through, the assets were liquidated, and the name was sold to a discount furniture chain that slaps it on imported products made in overseas factories. My grandfather's legacy reduced to a brand on cheap particle board. It breaks my heart, but it is not my burden to carry. My parents lost their house, as Derek mentioned. They live in a small apartment now, supported partly by Social Security and partly by a modest retirement fund my mother had the foresight to protect. We talk occasionally. The conversations are polite but distant. Too much has happened for us to go back to what we were assuming we were ever really close to begin with. My father has never explicitly apologized for choosing Derek over me. He has come close a few times, dancing around the words without ever saying them. Maybe he cannot admit even to himself how wrong he was. Maybe his pride will not let him. I have made peace with the fact that I may never hear those words from him. My mother apologizes frequently, but always in the same way. "I am sorry things did not work out," she says. "I am sorry you were hurt." Never "I am sorry we hurt you." Never "I am sorry we were wrong." She still cannot take full responsibility, still cannot acknowledge that they made a choice that destroyed their family and their legacy. Derek works at an electronics store now, selling televisions and computers to suburban families. It is honest work, probably the first honest work he has ever done. I hope he learns something from it. I hope he grows, but that is his journey, not mine. The healing has been slow and difficult. For years I carried anger like a stone in my chest, anger at my parents for their blindness, Anger at Derek for his entitlement. Anger at myself for staying so long, for giving so much to people who valued me so little. Therapy helped. Time helped. Building something new helped most of all. With each success at Evergreen, the anger faded a little more. With each relationship built on mutual respect, the wounds closed a little more. With each morning I woke up in Portland, surrounded by a life of my own, choosing the past loosened its grip. I do not hate my family. Hate requires energy that I would rather spend on things that matter. But I have accepted that some relationships cannot be repaired, that some betrayals cut too deep for forgiveness to bridge. I wish them well from a distance, and that is enough. Looking back at everything that happened, I realized that losing Harrison Furniture was the best thing that could have happened to me. It forced me out of a situation where I was giving everything and receiving nothing in return. It showed me that my value does not depend on other people's ability to recognize it. It taught me that starting over, as terrifying as it seems, can lead to something far better than what you left behind. I learned that loyalty should never be a one-way street, that family does not mean unlimited sacrifice, that tradition is not an excuse for injustice, that your worth is not determined by your gender, your birth order, or anyone else's outdated expectations. My parents chose their son over their daughter. They chose tradition over fairness. They chose blind hope in someone who had never earned it over recognition of someone who had proven herself 1,000 times over, and they paid the price for those choices. But so did I. And out of that payment, I built a life that is truly mine. If there is one thing I want you to take from my story, it is this: do not wait for people who cannot see your worth to finally open their eyes. Some people will never see you no matter how brightly you shine. That is not your failure. That is their limitation. Your value does not decrease because someone is unable to see it. Your achievements do not disappear because someone refuses to acknowledge them. Your future is not limited by people who want to keep you small. Sometimes you have to walk away from everything you have built to discover everything you are capable of building. Sometimes the family you create is stronger than the family you were born into. Sometimes the best revenge is simply living well, thriving without them proving every day that they were wrong about you. I am Melanie. I am 35 years old, and I am finally completely unapologetically free. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever given everything to someone who did not appreciate your sacrifice? Have you ever had to walk away from people who should have supported you? Share your story in the comments below. Let us build a community of people who understand what it means to rise from betrayal. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Your likes help this video reach more people who might need to hear this message. Subscribe to the channel if you want more stories about strength, resilience, and finding your own path. We share new content every week, and if you know someone who is struggling in a similar situation, please share this video with them. Sometimes knowing that someone else understands can make all the difference. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And thank you for being part of this community. May you find the courage to recognize your own worth even when others cannot. May you have the strength to walk away from what does not serve you. And may you build a life that is truly, completely, beautifully yours. Until next time, take care of yourselves.